Hello and welcome back. Today I want to take some time to explain why we use central tendency and how it can be useful in our lives. So today for the agenda, basically we're just going to have a deeper understanding of the three measurements we were calculating yesterday. So central tendency basically refers to where the center is. It indicates where the center of the distribution tends to be. And once we find the middle, we are better able to make sense of whatever data it is we're trying to interpret. Once we have a baseline, we can see if we scored bad, if we're below the middle, if we scored well or all right, if we're close to the middle, or if we scored amazingly well, which would be here at the very top. So suppose you have a lot of data and you would like a value to serve as the best representative of that data. And those representatives are basically the measurements of central tendency, either the mean, the median, or the mode. There's a number that basically give a general representation of your information. For example, let's say you score a 94 on a test and the class average was a 73. Well, if you scored a 94, you can see that you did very good because on average, people were getting C's on that exam. Some other conclusions you can arrive to is that maybe the test itself was very difficult. And you can say, wow, I'm actually very smart because again, when everybody was getting a C, I was getting an A. Now, if on the other hand, let's say you got like an F, you can see that you actually did it very bad because the average was still a passing grade. So on average people were passing, and then if you still failed, that kind of lets you know that maybe you didn't study that much, or maybe you didn't have the energy to really focus on when it was time to take the exam. And that's just a glitter on how measurements of central tendency are useful. Again, they serve as a baseline, which helps you determine whether you scored low or if you scored high. More or less along these lines are what central tendency, measurements of central tendency can do for us. And yesterday we saw that we have three measurements. We have mean, median, and mode. And the mean is generally the easiest one to understand. We use it a lot. For example, the test average again was 72%, so you can base the difficulty of the exam solely on this average of 72. This 72% represents the performance of a classroom taking a certain exam. On average, a person scored a C on this exam, so if you were absent and you are informed about the statistics, you might be able to say that the test is not too hard, but it's not too easy either. Let's take a look at the median now. So, for example, let's take a look at the median and let's see when it's useful and when it's preferred over the mean. And I got this example from this website called don'tmemorize.com, which is actually very good, and I highly encourage you to check it out. It has a lot of good explanations. Suppose we're in this scenario. Let's say we have an 8-year-old, 2 6-year-olds, 1 10-year-old, and then 1 85-year-old, and they're all watching TV. And what we want to do here is put on a show that is going to entertain all of these viewers, or at least put a show that is going to appeal to most of the viewers. One way to pick a suitable show for the audience is to calculate the mean age, and after we get the mean age, we can pick a program based on that age range, and that's going to hopefully entertain the audience. Here the data is 8, 6, 6, 10, and 85. In order to get the mean, we're going to have to add all these values and then divide by the number of values that are in our set. So here, let's add these up, and we're going to have to divide it by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And doing the calculation, we're going to get 115, and divided by 5, we get 23. So 23 is the mean age. But now we have a little problem here because this 23 is very spread out. Our audience, the audience that is originally watching the show, is too far to the left and then extremely far to the right. So if we pick a program that revolves around an age group of 23, most of these young kids are probably not going to enjoy it. They're probably not going to understand many of the references or jokes, and they more likely would just want to watch cartoons. Similarly, a more mature audience may not really find this type of programming suitable or entertaining. Although we found a measure of central tendency, we can immediately see that it's not a good representative of what we would like to achieve in this scenario. So instead, let's take a look at the median. For the median, we have to rearrange our data from smallest to largest. So here we have a 6, 6, 8, 10, and 85. And in order to get the median, we're going to start shaving off the edges. So I eliminate a number from the left. That means I have to eliminate a number from the right. I do it one more time, and we see that the median is 8. Although we have a very, very skewed value here of 85, this 8 still is able to capture the attention of these 3 other people involved. Choosing programming that is targeted for an 8-year-old is going to help us choose a show that will be the most appealing to the viewers we have here. So in this scenario, the median is more helpful than the mean. Now, the 8 is not too spread apart from the left or the right, so this 8 is more representative of the data in which we started with, which is why the median is also a very useful measurement of central tendency. Now let's check out the last one, which is the mode. So here the number with the highest frequency is 54. So 54 would be the mode. However, this measurement of central tendency, the 54, is not the best representative of this data set. The 54 is way too large of a number. It's not a nice indicator of being in the middle. So typically, mode is not very good in small sample spaces. It's usually useful when we have a bigger set of data. So let's take a look at an example. So let's use a bigger sample, such as a census question, saying how many children are in your family. And let's suppose that we have 5 million families. So here, these are the kids, and here's the number of families. So 1.5 million families had 1 kid, 1.8 million families have 2 kids, so on and so on and so on. Here, the mode would be 2 kids, because 2 kids is the number of kids which had the highest frequency. 1.8 million families had 2 kids. The mode would be 2, and now this measurement would be a good representative of the central tendency here, right? Here, most families had 2 kids. So go ahead and try the example that I posted on your assignment and make sense out of them. Apply the knowledge that hopefully you've picked up in this mini lesson, and I'll see you tomorrow or on the next lesson.